Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, we are talking the latest Vince McMahon news, reviewing tonight's episode of Smackdown, and watching AEW's Rampage live with you right now. Let's get Johnny in here. Let's start the show. Big Johnny North in the house. How are you, buddy?
Not too bad. Glad that I guess neither of us have Rogers, so we're still on the air here, so that's good.
Yeah, I don't even think you can have Rogers here in Quebec. I think our options are Bell or Videotron pretty much, or any one of the, little offshoot companies. There's kind of smaller companies, but maybe you can have Rogers for internet. I'm not sure, though. I don't think that's an option for us.
You used to be able to. I remember that. I used to have it.
I've never had Rogers. Yeah, it seems like everything's down, right? It's weird how it affects, like, Rogers' network is completely down across Canada, and it seems to be affecting not only people with Rogers, but also, like, the stores and restaurants and stuff, like their credit card and their debit card machines aren't working. I ordered from Domino's Pizza tonight, John. All right, had a little pizza, and yeah, it was pretty good actually. We got a little Hawaiian. I got some chicken wings. It was all right, and I ordered online as I like to do, and then they called me right away after I placed my order. They didn't say hello either. It was kind of weird. They're like, yeah, question. I was like, who is this? It was really weird. I was like, hello? They're like, yeah, question. Do you have cash? Because our machines don't work. And I was like, yeah, I have cash. Because I live like Floyd Mayweather, baby. Yeah. Pulled out my money phone and I just held it to my ear. I was like, yeah, we got that cash. But strange. And I went to Toys R Us today, as you do, and it said our debit and credit machine might not be working. And a lot of stores were like that across the country. A lot of stores apparently operate on Rogers for the credit and debit machines, and they weren't working. And I think they're still down and still not working. So a lot of business was just completely stopped by whatever's happening with Rogers. People are saying it's a cyber attack. People are saying it's just an outage. It's really unclear because nobody can get a hold of anybody at Rogers because they all have Rogers. So no one knows. It's a mystery. Their cell phones don't work. People are calling people from Rogers, and it's like, doo-doo-doo. The number you have dialed is not in service because Rogers is all messed up.
Wow.
I don't think that's the case. I made that up. Sorry. What?
Sounds like a lot of people are going to get shut down for the weekend now, it sounds like.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Concerts are being canceled. Yeah, Ryan says he was able to use his credit card. It's not everywhere that you can't use your credit card, but certain places, I think their whatever machines operate on Rogers service somehow. But I'm telling you, Domino's was like, no, we can't do it. It doesn't work. We need cash only. And it's funny, during the pandemic, everyone was like, use a card, no cash, no cash. And now they're like, only cash because Rogers is down. And it shut, like, The Weeknd was supposed to play Rogers Center tonight in Toronto, but he had to cancel because everything at Rogers Center is busted, and I think their ticket machines, like, don't work. So people would have to print out tickets, and everything is digital now, right? That's another thing. Like, everybody's ticket, I can't get a printed out ticket when I buy tickets for WWE or whatever. The ticket's always on your phone. It goes directly to your phone for most events. So if you're getting a ticket to The Weeknd at Rogers Center, The Weeknd the man, he's a man named The Weeknd, John. I don't know if you're familiar, but he's a popular
WrestleMania theme songs.
There you go. You know who he is. That's how Johnny North connects to the rest of the world. If you did a song for WWE, you're famous in John's world, and I like it. That's the way it should be. But apparently everything was shut down there for The Weeknd, so he had to cancel his show because their ticket machines don't work, so they can't scan anybody's ticket. Something like that.
Wow. Well, thankfully, this isn't happening, when Montreal comes to town here, or when WWE comes to Montreal. Thankfully, that's not happening, because that would be
Well, it's Bell.
disastrous if that
It's
would
all
happen.
Bell. Woo.
Oh, it's all Bell, so that's good.
10-5 Yankees now in the 7th. Got my eye on the game, too. And I'm getting a note that Rogers has commercial internet in Quebec. So that's why a lot of commerce is shut down right now in Quebec and across the country. Home internet from Rogers is called Fido Internet, so you can get it if you have Fido Internet at home. So there's an update. Thank you for that. Crazy, though. Crazy how, one internet company, one telecom company can shut down, and it can shut down the whole system. If 2 of these things shut down, 2 or 3 of them shut down, look out. So who knows? It's real interesting how these things can just shut a lot of things down and slow a lot of things down. I mean, could you imagine a world with no internet, John? We'd be screwed. I don't know how I would get anywhere without Google Maps. Get lost walking down the street.
I mean, it might sound crazy to some people watching this, because I'm sure they've only lived with internet, but we used to live without internet. I'm sure you remember those days.
Not as adults.
They did exist.
Not as adults.
Sure.
My adult self needs internet.
Yeah, I'm sure you could survive again.
For how long? It would be hard. People would go through withdrawals, especially with the apps. You'd always just tap in, refresh, tap, refresh. People would go banana.
Probably, yeah.
So
they'll adjust, though. Everyone adjusts.
I think it would be nice.
Now, right?
I think it would be kind of nice, but it would cause a lot of problems. I mean, for us, we'd be kind of screwed. We wouldn't be able to do the show anymore. A nice break.
Vacations are nice. It's nice weather out, so
much of TV is internet now, though. It's like it would be hard to get anything done. I think we'd be in trouble. Get the bunny ears back on the TV.
Would have missed Eddie Kingston. He just won his match.
Yeah, he just beat Takeshita, which I don't love. But I guess Eddie Kingston's headed for bigger things. Is Eddie Kingston underwears hanging out of his pants? What's going on there?
He's pulling his pants up throughout the whole match.
Yeah, what is happening? Are his pants falling off of him? What is that gear? Maybe he needs to get some different gear, because he looks kind of slop. His ass is hanging out. His underwears are falling off of him. Like, what's happening? Do you see that? He looks a mess. This is not a guy you see. You're like, wow, what a badass guy. You see him, you're like, is he okay? Oh, weird.
It seems like it was a good match.
Was weird. It seemed all right from what I saw. Yeah,
but it seemed all right.
Yeah.
Honestly, it may have been the best thing we saw tonight, because not a lot of good wrestling. Things happened tonight, but match-wise wasn't the best.
Nothing happened on SmackDown tonight. Nothing.
Well, happened.
You could say things happened, but Roman Reigns came out and nothing happened.
Yep.
Paul Heyman said the same thing to Roman Reigns that he always says to him. Brock Lesnar's really scary, and I'm worried that he's gonna get us. But you're gonna stomp him out, and you're gonna smash him, and bah. Like, I've seen this promo from Paul Heyman a million times, and what did he really say? Austin Theory came out, or just Theory, whatever his name is, and he ran around the ring because he's got the money in the bank, and Roman is the champion, so he's teasing a cash in, and he didn't cash in. He just ran around the ring, literally.
Right.
He trotted around the ring, and then he left, and that was it for Roman and for Theory. No, I think we saw Theory again later in the night. You can't give us enough Theory. Did we? He didn't wrestle,
see Theory
did he?
later.
He had a promo.
I just did a promo backstage.
Another promo.
Talking about, doesn't matter if people don't like him. He's still the best, and like he's gonna cash in on either Brock or Roman. Doesn't matter. And then Madcap's like he's gonna shove that briefcase up his butt. Apparently, next week.
In his mouth. In his mouth, he said.
Oh, his mouth. Whatever. A hole.
He said, "Oh, that's a big briefcase." What did he say? It was really awkward. He's like, it's a big briefcase, but I think I could shove it in his mouth. I'd sure like to try. I was like, huh? Well, it was not good. So now we have Madcap Moss versus Theory next week. I don't know if anybody cares about that. Theory's this guy that they're trying to push, and it seems like he's destined for something big. They gave him Money in the Bank. But isn't he still the guy that just lost to Pat McAfee at WrestleMania? Pat McAfee beat this guy.
Yeah, and more than likely Bobby Lashley's going to beat him at SummerSlam too, but it doesn't matter. Still going to push him.
He says he's going to cash in on Roman or Brock after the match. Do you believe him?
No, I think Bobby's going to beat the crap out of him. So it's going to stop him from doing it.
He'll be unable to cash in.
Right. He's going to claim that he was injured in the match with Bobby. I think that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. The main event tonight of SmackDown was supposed to give us something. But again, just like at SummerSlam, where the WWE is promising us a Money in the Bank cash-in and they're going to bait and switch us, they bait and switched us again for the main event, which is really offensive. It was supposed to be Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, with the winner facing the Universal Undisputed Super Champion, whatever, at the Clash at the Castle in September in Wales. So the next pay-per-view is SummerSlam in a couple of weeks, actually. And then we got the Clash in Wales, right? We wait like a month, and then it's the Wales thing. 3 weeks, you say?
I think 2. No?
2, yeah. I think 2, you're right. We have 2 more episodes of Raw and SmackDown before the... no, sorry, 3. 3 more weeks of TV. Because it's the 30th of July. Last Saturday in July is SummerSlam, right?
Still, it's coming up.
Yeah, and they're setting it up, too. We'll give you some of the matches that they have set up for that. They were trying to set up a match after that, but I guess not. Sheamus was supposed to wrestle Drew, the winner facing the champion at the Clash. But instead of that happening, Sheamus starts talking, then he starts coughing, and he says he's got a tickle in his throat. He might have COVID, so he's not going to do the match. He's still going to stand ringside, which, I don't know. If you have COVID, shouldn't you go backstage and get tested right away? Like, what's happening? Anyways, he stands ringside, and Sheamus says, well, fella, you'll still get a match. It just won't be against me. It'll be against Butchie here. And you and I will wrestle at some point in the future, probably. What if Sheamus just forfeited his potential title opportunity there? How could Sheamus just make this match? Like, if you're a guy who has a match, right, and if you win, you face the champ at the pay-per-view, and you say, oh, fella, I'm not going to wrestle this match. I'm going to let my buddy wrestle. And then your buddy Butch gets squashed in like 3 minutes. Haven't you lost your title opportunity? Haven't you lost your number 1 contender match? If you're a fighter in the UFC and the UFC's like, hey, you're going to fight this dude and the winner of this fight is going to fight for the championship, and you say, actually, fella, I'm going to let my friend fight instead, UFC's going to say, first of all, no. Second of all, okay, well, we're just going to forget about you. You can stay home and do whatever. We're going to give Drew McIntyre the title shot because he wants it, and you obviously don't care. You know? It's not good. And that was the main event of SmackDown. Like, they're building it as like, hey, we're going to give you a match that means something in the main event. I'm like, okay, I know Drew's going to win, but at least they're trying here. And then they're like, nah, Butch. Sheamus and Drew will be later. You have to wait for that blockbuster of a match that you've seen a million times before. Who needs to see that again? It's ridiculous.
Well, I think it's the match they're going to give us at SummerSlam. I thought this from the beginning that we were going to get this. I'm surprised that they announced it on SmackDown. I think they did the whole bait and switch thing where it's like, you think you're going to get it, you're not going to get it. You'll get it a later time because until you get that match, then that shot's still on the line. So until it's Sheamus and McIntyre, the number 1 contendership is still available. So and they're just going to wait. Probably they'll do the same thing with Ridge Holland next week, maybe, possibly. And until we get to SummerSlam, you won't see this match, I don't think.
So stupid. It's stupid, and what we got was garbage. We got like a 3-minute squash from Drew and
There's
Butch.
only 7 minutes left in the show.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
When they came out, I was like, you're going to do this main event in 8 minutes here? How are you going to do that? And then they didn't. They did a different match instead. And then Sheamus jumped on the apron to attack Drew McIntyre, but Drew had his sword, so he cut down the top rope in an attempt to cut off Sheamus's head, I guess, or slice him in two vertically.
Yep.
He cuts down the top rope, and at the same time, somehow, pyro explodes in all 4 corners of the ring like Kane. Somehow, the sword cutting down the top rope triggered pyro in all 4 corners because Drew has magic in the sword? I don't know.
Could be a fire sword, possibly.
It's a fire sword. He's like Link in Zelda. He's got like a powerful sword, right? The Master Sword. That's what he's got going for himself. Cody Rhodes must be loving it. Big Zelda fan, Cody Rhodes. Anyhow, what? What the hell was that?
We talked about this bit off air. It was just to give the fans something, something that looked kind of cool at the end. It didn't really have to make a lot of sense. It was just a nice little pyro show, pretty much. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was, hey, we don't have a main event, really, so how about Drew cuts a ring rope and things explode? You like that? That sounds like quality entertainment, right, pal? We got to talk about Vince. We will talk about Vince in a minute. Who the hell are these guys on Rampage? What is going on Rampage? I know Jonathan Gresham. He's excellent.
Right.
I don't know who anybody else is.
I think it's part of Tully Blanchard Enterprise.
What the hell is that? What's Tully Blanchard Enterprise?
Well, usually it's Brian Cage, and there's 2 other guys.
Brian Cage
isn't there. So
since when?
Yeah, Brian Cage is part. Man, you don't watch Ring of Honor, obviously. So.
Ring of Honor has TV.
But they had a pay-per-view, and they had storylines on that pay-per-view. So this is to continue that because they have a pay-per-view coming up, by the way.
I know.
July 23rd.
Death Before Dishonor. Ooh.
So this is the build now.
Oh, wow.
Pay-per-view.
I can't wait. The card so far looks like, an Impact Wrestling card from a few years ago. Not super exciting, but, something I'd watch, I guess. Samoa Joe defending his Ring of Honor TV title against Jay Lethal. Wheeler Yuta defending one of the Ring of Honor belts against Daniel Garcia. And the FTR defending the Ring of Honor tag belts against the Briscoes in a rematch. They figure it was good the first time. Why not do it again? They got nothing else to do. This is weird that they're doing a pay-per-view. Are people into this? Do people want to see this? Is this highly anticipated? I guess they're trying to build it with a match or 2 on Rampage here, but I don't know who this tag team is. There's a tag team in the ring. They're wrestling Jonathan Gresham and Jonathan Gresham's tag team partner. I don't know who he is. I don't recognize him. He's a man. They're all men, I think.
I believe Gresham's partner is Lee Moriarty, I think.
Oh, is that Lee Moriarty?
I believe it is.
All right. I don't know who Lee Moriarty is, really. I've seen him a couple of times. I can't.
You've seen him wrestle Dynamite before, yeah.
Maybe once or twice. I haven't got a good shot of his face yet, so I don't really know who he is. But yeah, this match is weird that it's happening on Rampage. I don't know why it's happening. Trying to build that Ring of Honor brand for some reason. Not sure why. That's okay. All right, let's talk about Vince.
He's in trouble again?
Well, did you not see the new accusations? You not see the new story?
I didn't see him do anything like he's got to step down or nothing, so it just sounds like they just piled on more stuff, but nothing really changed.
Well, nothing changed. He's still in charge of all the creative, but there's more story coming out here about Vince, and it doesn't look good. It's not positive. None of this looks good for Vince. The Wall Street Journal has a new report. They're saying that Vince paid more than $12 million in hush money to at least 4 different women to keep allegations of sexual misconduct and infidelity a secret over the last 16 years. The $12 million includes a $7.5 million pact with a former wrestler who alleges that Vince coerced her into giving him oral sex, then demoted her, and ultimately declined to renew her contract after she resisted further sexual encounters. The wrestler and her attorney reached a deal with McMahon in 2018 in return for her silence. In another deal, a WWE contractor presented the company with unsolicited nude photos of McMahon she reported receiving from him and alleged that he had sexually harassed her on the job. Vince apparently paid her about $1 million. A former wrestler got $7.5 million who says she was coerced into giving Vince oral sex, then demoted, then didn't get her contract renewed when she refused further sexual advances. That's bad. That is a damning report. That is like, okay. It's getting worse and worse. There are more stories coming out by the week. He stepped down as the CEO and chairman, but he might have to step down entirely of all his duties, in the creative. He shouldn't be in charge of anybody right now because clearly he is doing some improper things with his employees and getting into a lot of trouble for it. He had to pay somebody $7.5 million, a former wrestler, one of the divas. I mean, I don't know if she was part of the diva era, but I'm guessing the timeline probably matches up. $7.5 million. And you can start taking your guesses on who that is. We're not going to speculate, but the definite names and stories are running through my mind. Like, who was it? I wonder, how does the timeline kind of, but we're not going to do that here. We're not going to name names here on the show. But obviously, like, your mind wanders. You start to wonder, like, what's going on here? Who was it? What happened? Who got $7.5 million from Vince? What happened to her? What is going on? 4 more women, $12 million over the past 16 years. That's only over the past 16 years. And that's $12 million that they found out about from 4 women. Who knows how many more women? How many more millions of dollars were paid off by this mad billionaire named Vince McMahon that we all know and love? No one's surprised. That's the other thing, too. When all these stories come out, nobody's surprised. Nobody goes, damn, I thought Vince was a family man. Everybody's like, yeah, all this makes sense. All this lines up with who he appears to be. But there was always that hope that, well, maybe he's just a good guy and it's all Mr. McMahon character and the weird shit he does on TV is all, Then there was the report from Fightful Select. They break a lot of news stories, and they said that Vince, after he did that initial promo on Smackdown when the news broke, right? The news broke on a Friday, and then he was on Smackdown that night. Apparently he walked through Gorilla. He walked through Gorilla after that promo and yelled, "Fuck him! Fuck him!"
Sounds like something he would do, sure. I believe that.
But, like, the audacity. Just, I mean, it lines up with what we expect from Vince, but when you really hear that there are details and there are victims and there are payoffs, and it goes to another level. Because there's the Vince character, there's Mr. McMahon that you've seen on TV do weird stuff with women and his employees and whatever. And you could say, well, that's character, but, those people really had to do those things. You know, Trish Stratus really had to get on her knees and bark like a dog in her underwears or whatever it was. The bra and panties matches, the pudding matches, Jim Ross having to kiss his bare ass on television, Regal doing the same. All that weird stuff that Vince has done over the years. It's all on TV, and you wonder, like, what's this guy like in real life? And then you hear the stories of how he never sleeps and how he works out till he pukes and how he's just crazy and how he doesn't know what a burrito is, and he's incredulous when Jim Ross tells him that there are men that are into Asian women, and Vince can't believe it. He's like, Asian women? I never thought of such a thing. Like, that was a weird one, too. That's a weird story. Check that one out. They're thinking about hiring Gail Kim. He's like, I don't think anybody's going to want to see that on TV, JR. Jim Ross is like, I think there's a market for this, pal. It's insanity. But these are all like stories that we've heard about Vince. We've never heard about, you know, women that had to get paid off because Vince is coercing them into oral sex and then not renewing their contract when they refuse his further sexual advances, and he's paying them $7.5 million. And these are reports coming out in the Wall Street Journal. Like, this is more serious than the, you know, he never sleeps and he hates when you sneeze around him type of things, you know? Those things are kind of like, oh, he's a weird guy. He's kind of quirky. And then the weird things on TV with some of the women, you're like, oh, okay, maybe there's something going on there, but you know, and he's admitted to some things in the past, like, I used to cheat, pal. And, you know, there was an interview he did in Playboy and an interview he did in on the Howard Stern show. But this is another level. This is another level of Vince depravity. This is shocking.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what this investigation really reveals here. I mean, again, these are allegations, so we have to wait for all this to come out if there's going to be anything more. But they gotta have to get some actual, like, evidence against Vince here.
He can't be the head of creative anymore. He can't. He can't be the head of creative if it's out there that he is telling wrestlers, you know, suck this, pal, and maybe you'll get a push. I mean, I'm not saying that's exactly what he's saying, but hey, if there's a woman that sued him and got $7.5 million to keep quiet about being coerced into giving him oral sex as a wrestler, as somebody that works for him, that is under his power, he can't still be head of creative in WWE. It's not right. It's not right. I love Vince, but this is too much. You can't be in charge of creative anymore. Ryan Katz is right. He needs to resign ASAP. I agree. I think this has gone too far. It's like, all right, man, it's enough already. Like, come on. And he doesn't even really need to not be head of creative. He just officially needs to not be head of creative, you know? Just have Bruce Pritchard on the phone and just like bark orders at him from home. You still have the majority voting rights and the shareholders, you know. You got all your shares. You're still in power. You run the company still, but you can't be there officially. You can't be in the arenas. You can't be near the talent. You can't be talking to the talent anymore. It's over. It's over. Because you can't have these stories out there. You can't be doing this type of stuff. You can't be getting oral sex from some of the wrestlers and then not renewing their contract when they refuse further advances. And then they sue you because that is their perception of the situation. And then they successfully get $7.5 million from you. That means you are guilty of that shit. If you're giving off $7.5 million for somebody to keep quiet, that means that's what happened. Vince had a sexual encounter or relationship or whatever power dynamic weird thing going on with a contracted talent, a wrestler who Vince, you know, can change the life of easily. You can't be doing that. You can't be doing that when you could change somebody's life. You can't be in charge of somebody and also want to have sex with them. That's not how shit works anymore. It used to be how shit worked, apparently. From what I'm understanding with all these people getting busted for shit. It seems to be how shit worked for a lot of guys. But that's not right. You know? It's not right. So, Vince has to resign. It's over for Vince. I'm very disappointed in him. I'm very disappointed. I'm not surprised, but I'm disappointed. As a fan of Vince, as a lover of WWE, I'm disappointed that Vince is that guy. That he's that creepy old fuck. And that's what he is right now. He's a creepy old fuck, and he needs to go home. Sorry, Vince. It's over.
But do you think he will actually resign, though?
Fuck no.
Exactly.
Unless, like, you know, somebody makes him. And I don't know who can make him do anything. Or there's just, you know, too many people sit down and go, look, Vince, it's fucking over, man. You have to go home. Nick Khan and Stephanie and Triple H and all the people he was at the UFC with, you know. Pat McAfee, I guess. The Rock calls him up. Now, Vince, it's time for you to go home, jabroni, you know. It's over. But I don't know if he's going to go home. But my goodness, should he ever. Because if he's doing this with the wrestlers, you know, that's another thing. It's too much, man. You can't do that. Like, it's one thing when they're office workers, and even then it's like, it's creepy. I mean, there's that one woman, it's like she's making $100,000, and then she's with Vince, and she's making $200,000. It's like, what? He's changing people's lives like that with the power, you know? And that I didn't like at all. I thought that was bad. But with the wrestlers too, man. That's another thing. Like, you can't be doing that. You can't be getting involved with the wrestlers. And then when the wrestler, you know, doesn't want to continue the relationship, you don't re-sign them to a contract, you know? You can't be in charge of creative, in charge of the pushes of the wrestlers, and have a history doing that. If it were anybody else in professional wrestling, they would be run out of the business permanently. Anybody other than Vince McMahon doing this, they would be blackballed from the business. 100%. Anybody. The fact that Vince has survived, the only reason is because he's so powerful. Any other promoter been caught doing this, it would be a wrap for them immediately. We wouldn't even be discussing it. Wouldn't even be a question. This comes out about Tony Khan, it's over for him. He's done. You know? This comes out about, you know, Scott D'Amore or any other promoter out there in the business, you know? It's over. Although there have been allegations about certain other people, and I guess some people have survived. Some people survive things, you know, but I don't know about Vince. I think he's got to wrap it up. This is too much. It's too public. It's too well known.
I just wonder how far down the rabbit hole we're going to get here, because I feel like there might be even more stories, but how much is going to get truly revealed? And that's the main thing it's going to come down to, is like they got to get some real dirt on Vince. If they don't get that, I don't think anything's really going to change here.
Well, the board is still investigating him, right?
Yeah.
So the dirt's going to come out.
Right? It's not
I
over.
mean, but that's why the Wall Street Journal's getting all these stories, because the board is investigating and the stories are coming out and they're being leaked to the Wall Street Journal by somebody. That's right. They're being leaked by somebody. I'm back in charge of NXT. Sorry, Vince.
Well, it hasn't really shown too much. I haven't watched NXT.
Me neither. Me neither. It's my buddy Danhausen on Rampage. There you go.
Yeah, I think you just missed a lot, by the way. I think they just set up a lot of the Ring of Honor pay-per-view.
Did they?
I think we got. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about this because we got it on mute, but I'm pretty sure Jonathan Grisham, Lee Moriarty for the ROH title. I think that's going to happen because Grisham turned on Lee Moriarty during the match. And I think Serena Deeb's going to go for the ROH Women's title. They showed her she's going to be on Fyter Fest too, but I think she's going to be also at the pay-per-view because he held the title at the end of the match. Oh, I was wrong. Jonathan Grisham and Lee Moriarty is going to be on Fyter Fest instead, not the pay-per-view.
Next Friday's Fyter Fest on Rampage.
There you go.
I don't care. I really,
Well, things are happening. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get. Things are happening in Ring of Honor, which, is barely a promotion at this point. It's bizarre. Yeah, these accusations for Vince are amazing. $7.5 million, though. I mean, you'd suck Vince's dick for $7.5 million. I'm joking. I'm kidding. You would not, and that woman is a victim, and whatever she went through is awful. That's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money. She must have deserved it. Jeez, man. Because some of these people are getting like $1 million. She's getting $7.5 million. What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. What the heck match is this? We got Eddie Kingston, Chris Jericho in a death match? Barbed wire death match.
And the Jericho Society will be suspended in a shark cage. That's happening Wednesday, July 20th.
Not this Wednesday coming up, the following Wednesday.
Yes.
Night two of Fyter Fest.
How many Fyter Fests are they doing? Because
they're doing 2 weeks of Fyter Fest.
Yeah, like next week's Dynamite and Rampage are both called Fyter Fest, and then the week after it's still Fyter Fest?
Night 2, yeah.
Why is there so much Fyter Fest? What is Fyter Fest anyways?
Wasn't it supposed to be some sort of convention that
but
mixed in with wrestling? Yeah, I know, but that's what originally was supposed to be.
Now it's just weird Dynamites. We'll talk about AEW in a bit. Like, it's just a weird place right now. Dynamite was... I don't know. I guess it all depends on how much you like Wardlow. But... I don't know. I didn't love it.
I mean, I think Derek John posted on Twitter, it's like, reminded me of the Goldberg thing when he won the U.S. title, and it did. When he beat Raven in that Raven's Rules match, like, it felt like it was the world against him, but he still overcame it. It kind of felt like that, and the crowd was into it. The crowd loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great way to start the show.
Wardlow squashed Scorpio Sky and a bunch of his ATT buddies, but I don't think they were really from ATT. I think they were just indie wrestlers, and Wardlow hit 3 power bombs and put a foot on Scorpio's chest and flexed and pinned him for a 3 count. With a foot on the chest pin. New TNT champion. Just like that, Wardlow gets a big belt. Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's not really my style of wrestler. It's not my favorite, but I know some people like that type of thing. Big guy just throwing guys around. It's cool. He did a nice swanton. He's a talented wrestler. He's all right, Yep. I just like he's big. He's a big guy, but he's not immense. You know what I mean? Like, he's pretty big, but Goldberg, was fucking big. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Goldberg was doing his thing, like, he was like, what the hell? I've seen too many freaks in professional wrestling at this point where I see a guy like Wardlow and I go, yeah, I mean, he's big for AEW, but he's not like Lex Luger or Scott Steiner or... one of those jacked men, the Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan or any of these types of guys who were just larger than life in every way. He's not super charismatic. I feel like a guy with his gimmick has to be a little bit more electric, you know? He's like very calm. There's something about him where he's very like he's relaxed almost. He's solemn, you know? He's like he doesn't seem that high energy. Like Goldberg, he used to go like, you know, and like stick his tongue out and like freak out. You know what I mean? There's no freak out in Wardlow.
Yeah.
Wardlow is stoic. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. He's too stoic. You know what I mean? He's just like power bomb, and then he just stands there like, I'm like, all right, well, give me something. Give me something that makes me feel a little bit more. You know, I don't feel it with him. You felt the electricity with Goldberg. He was intense. There's not that intensity with Wardlow. I'm not feeling it. The Ultimate Warrior was intense. He's nowhere near the wrestler that Wardlow is, but he's something else. He's a way better sports entertainer, the Ultimate Warrior. You know, like he came out, he had an electric entrance, he looked like $1 million, he had that weirdo promo. Wardlow is just like kind of a bland version of that. And I'm not in love with it. I think he's all right. Like, I don't dislike Wardlow, you know? I want to like him more than I do, but I just kind of see him. I'm like, yeah, all right. What else do they have on AEW? Like, he's not my favorite guy in the company. He's cool, but yeah.
You know, I see that. It's just that they've been building him for so long. It's kind of like, well, it's about time he finally won something big, you know? Like, I mean, he got the big pay-per-view win on MJF, and now they finally made him a champion. So they've been building towards this for so long. It's like, at least they actually went through with it. Sometimes they don't always do that. So that's nice to see.
But you're a big jack guy, John, right? You're a big jacked man. You work out a lot. You got huge muscles. Are you impressed with Wardlow's jackness and physique? Like, is he impressive to you? He's obviously big and jacked. He's in great shape. If he walked in the gym, I'd be scared. I'd be like, oh, shit, you know? It's going to be difficult. But, you know, like, I see him and I'm like, yeah, all right. But there are guys in wrestling that look way more impressive, you know, like Bobby Lashley or whoever.
Right. Of course. But he fits his role. That's all he's got to be. He just has to be that guy in that place where he is right now. It works. So you just got to run with that.
Yeah,
like,
but that's...
You know, Lashley's over too in his own little way.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying with Wardlow. Like, he's supposed to be the big jacked monster, but he's the big jacked monster for AEW because it's kind of a small company. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't work so good for me because I know that there are bigger, jackeder monsters out there. Like, he's got the Batista push, and he kind of's got the Batista look a little bit, but he's not Batista. He's not as jacked or as impressive as Batista, you know? That guy was jacked.
More than likely more athletic than Batista, so that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a better wrestler than a lot of those guys that I'm talking about. But he's built as like the jacked giant beast guy, like Goldberg, you know? He's kind of like built as a cross between Goldberg and Batista, but he's nowhere near as impressive physique-wise or intensity-wise as those guys were. And I am not a big fan of those guys either, which is why I think I'm not such a fan of Wardlow, because he's kind of presented as this Batista-Goldberg type character, and I'm not really into those type characters. I don't know. He's all right. I'm not here to shit on Wardlow on his big week. I'm just saying, it doesn't excite me, you know? Doesn't get me... Doesn't, what is it? Titillate the juices of my... Something? What does he say? This guy? Titillate the juices of my guilty pleasures. That's the catchphrase of the models on Smackdown.
Well, that's it. Some people like to see, you know, people powerbomb people. Some people like to dress up the newest, like, tennis wear, you know. To each their own.
What the hell was that?
Well, they're showing up the newest fashion. You know, that's their whole thing now.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense. I tweeted it out. You know, these guys, they're male models, right? Last week they come out in some clothes, right? They're showing off the male models. This week, Max Dupree is in the ring and he's like, "Oh, well, we're gonna show the tennis collection." And it's like, okay, is this a fashion show? I don't understand. Are you just showing off what your guys look like in tennis clothes? But those aren't even real tennis clothes. Like, you'd never see a tennis player rocking those clothes. It was a bizarre look that they had those shorts, but they were not tennis shorts. I don't even think they were wearing tennis shoes. Like, tennis players have more like athletic wear. They looked kind of like country club-ish, and I understand the look that they were going for. They looked more golfish than tennis, but they had tennis rackets. It was just bizarre. And usually fashion shows, you know, it's not about like, hey, here's a bunch of male models. Aren't these models awesome? It's about the clothes. This seemed to be a fashion show that was just about the models and how they have nice physiques and faces, which is weird because usually it's like, oh, here's a Balenciaga fashion show, and here's the pieces by this, and look at this, and look at this cool shirt, and look at these pants, and ooh, this hat's interesting, and how about that? And the models are just there to wear the clothes because the fashion show is about the clothing and not the models. But I don't think WWE understands this. This is another out-of-touch, confused gimmick that really makes no sense. What are they supposed to be here? It's a male model talent agency, kind of a tag team with a manager, right? Dupree is managing Mansoor and Massey. Yeah. And, you know, he's talking about how handsome they are for a while. And I guess every week they're supposed to come out in different clothes. But there's no designer involved. It's just like different kind of looks for the guys. Like they're dressing up dolls for some reason. And then he's like, oh, we're here to titillate the juices of your guilty pleasures. And he's talking about, like, you know, he's using words to describe them like penetrate and stuff. Like, I think that it's supposed to be some kind of, you know, homosexual act, which is really, and like in a heel way too. It's just, it doesn't feel right. And it's just odd because it's really not entertaining, which is really the least of its problem because most of WWE isn't entertaining. But this is just kind of nearly offensive. Like, I'm not sure what they're trying to say, so I'm not sure if it's offensive or not. Not yet, anyways. But right now it's just weird, and I don't think it has an audience. Titillate the juices of your guilty pleasures. I don't know. Are we supposed to like this? Are we supposed to think this is funny? It's not really funny. Like, I wondered last week, it's like, maybe this is a WWE attempt. Like, maybe they're like, hey, you know, there's a lot of gay guys out there. Let's try and get those guys to watch our show, maybe. How about we do, like, a fashion gimmick because maybe they'll like that, pal. It's like an out-of-touch Vince trying to bring in a new audience for his show, but he has no clue what is going to bring in a young gay audience because he's an old, apparently aggressively straight man, you know? So, honestly, I think that might be what it is. Like, Vince thinking, hey, we need to appeal to these young gay fellas, pal, and this is going to work for them. I'm telling you, I'm in touch with the fashion industry. You know, it might be that. Vince trying to be cool. I really don't know what you're supposed to feel about this. I feel bored when I watch it. I feel bored when I watch most of SmackDown. But this, I feel bored and, like, kind of annoyed because I don't think it has a point. And I also think that they're kind of not trying to bring in a new audience. I think they're trying to, you know, say something about how they don't like gay people, pal, or something, you know, because it's Vince and he's an old, aggressively straight white man. aggressively straight. Paying people hush money straight. Like, you know, $12 million in 16 years. Yeah, so the male models is weird. I don't like that. Didn't like that at all. Did you like it, John? Are you a fan?
I mean, it doesn't really do anything.
Huh?
It doesn't really do anything. That's the thing.
No.
It's like, okay, they come out, they wear the clothes, but nothing really happens besides that. So it doesn't seem like it leads to much of anything yet. They're not wrestling yet. Like, it'd be alright if they actually wrestle. They do the whole fashion show, then they wrestle. Then that'd actually be something. We're not really getting much of anything yet, but it's still early.
Like, I assume at some point they'll be a team, right? They should be a tag team, but what is this, Billy and Chuck? You know? What is this?
Yeah, that's it. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. Like, I think they have an idea. They clearly have an idea for the gimmick, but how are they going to wrestle with it as well is another question. And will they be singles or will they be a tag team? Wait and see. But this is something that they're giving a lot of time to, and they pretty much get a slot every week, I think. So just have to wait and see. I don't expect we'll see them wrestle until probably maybe after SummerSlam.
It's possible. I could see this gimmick getting scrapped too, and we never see them again. Viking Raiders, right? It's possible. I mean, anything's, that seems more likely almost. Viking Raiders beat Jinder and Shanky tonight, and then the New Day came out, and they had ass-beating tickets that were actually printed out. And then they went to attack the Raiders, but they got beat down by the Viking Raiders. So that was something that occurred on SmackDown. Pat McAfee wasn't on the show because Baron Corbin apparently attacked him after Money in the Bank. And Corbin and McAfee is official for SummerSlam. Yeah.
Excitement right there.
I mean, come on. How are you not excited for a Baron Corbin match? Kaiser and Gunther talked about open challenges, and they don't like open challenges, so Nakamura shows up, and Gunther says he's going to have to earn his shot at the Intercontinental title. He's got to wrestle Kaiser, and of course Nakamura beats Kaiser, which upsets Gunther, and then Gunther starts chopping Kaiser as punishment for losing. Why are we breaking up Kaiser and Gunther already? Like, why tease that this early in the relationship? Seems unnecessary.
I don't think it's really a tease. I think it's just to show the brutality, I guess. And, if there's going to be mistakes, Kaiser's going to pay the price for it. That's pretty much it. But to me, it looked like he was willing to accept it. He didn't want to take it, but he knew he had to take it. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, but didn't it seem like the way he was selling, like, oh, why are you doing this to me? Why? Like, eventually he's going to be like, enough of this, and he fights back, and then he loses, and he gets released?
Yeah, I can see that eventually happening, but I know it's definitely more than a couple months down the road for that to happen. Like, he'd have to lose the IC title first.
It seems like they were teasing it already, though. It's kind of annoying. It's like, no.
I think it was just to give him a heel edge, pretty much, just to make him seem like he's a jerk.
You might be right. I hope you're right. Let's talk about Liv Morgan and her promos this week.
They just did the same thing, practically.
Yeah, you saw her promo on Raw, right? Where she's jumping around the ring and laughing and just... I guess Liv Morgan's never heard the phrase, act like you've been there before. When you win, act like you've been there before. Act like a champion,
SmackDown was better than Raw for her, that's for sure. Raw was bad for her, but SmackDown helped with Cole there at least. He was able to ease into it.
Cole helped her a little bit, but Raw was horrible. It was
bad.
It was so bad. Just so over the moon happy that she had won something. Like she never expected to win anything in her life. You know what I mean? It was kind of sad. And it was awkward. And the fans cheering for her. I mean, I said this about Liv Morgan before. She's all right. You know, she's fine. She's gone from very bad to fine, decent, you know?
Right.
But for the fans to be so behind the Liv Morgan push and, oh my God, Liv Morgan, it's so great, and it's okay, but it's not as good as, you know, a real champion. Like, Liv is not on the level of some of the top-level women that they have. Like, Liv Morgan had the B women's match on Raw this week. She had the match. She's the champion, right? And she teamed up with Bianca Belair, and they beat Natalya and Carmella in a tag match. It was the B match. The A women's match was the main event, no holds barred, Asuka Becky Lynch street fight, which was excellent, and Becky won with a rock bottom off the second rope through a table. Tremendous.
I wouldn't say excellent. He was kind of sloppy at times.
I mean, it was much better than the tag match, and it was one of the best matches on Raw, if not the best. I mean, I don't know what else you liked on Raw this week, but
I liked Ezekiel and Seth Rollins. I thought that was a very good match.
Yeah, it was a little too boring for me. A little too slow, a little too, like, is anything happening? And Ezekiel, too, like, come on, man. I don't need that.
It was one of his best showings in a while.
Seth Rollins is on a roll right now. He's been doing real well. He's having great matches. But even Seth Rollins can't make an Ezekiel match interesting for me. I was really having trouble sitting through that. My mind was wandering. I was like, come on, man. Get out of here. Give me something else.
I got to give credit to Raw. Usually it takes me like days to get through it. I actually got through Raw in one sitting, so I was pretty happy this week.
It sucked.
To me,
all of wrestling sucked this week.
Event.
I thought everything in wrestling was garbage this week. Raw was bad. I thought Dynamite was pretty bad, except for a couple of things. I thought Rampage that we just saw was not that exciting. And Smackdown tonight was real bad, too. I thought all of wrestling was bad this week. Even Money in the Bank was not very good either on Saturday. Not a great week in wrestling.
I got to give Raw credit because it's usually hard to watch Raw, but this week was actually pretty easy to watch. Raw was probably the best show I saw this week. And yeah, SmackDown, unfortunately, was lacking. SmackDown needed to be better. Dynamite was the usual. Some of it's good, some of it's not good. So, but I mean, coming off like a premium live event, that's not too bad for Raw to be pretty decent. Usually, it's hard to get through like another 8 hours after you've already seen 4 hours to start your week. So that's pretty good.
I thought Dynamite was the better show this week. Raw wasn't terrible, though. Mysterio's against Finn Balor and Damian Priest was...
Like the Eddie finish, that was good.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't bad. Finn and Priest are just a weak tag team now, cosplaying as Rhea Ripley, though. Have you noticed that? Dressed like Rhea Ripley, she's not even around. What happened to Edge? What is going on? Like, they attacked the Mysterios.
Is the new Fiend now.
Edge is the new Fiend?
Well, because they're doing the whole, like, is the Fiend coming back stuff, but I think it's Edge.
Really?
You've seen those vignettes, right?
Yeah, they're doing creepy vignettes, and everybody assumes it's the Fiend. You don't think it's the Fiend?
I think it's Edge. I say wait and see. I think Edge is going to big comeback at SummerSlam, and I'm guessing he's going to wrestle Finn. I'm guessing that's going to be the big match for him.
Well, yeah, Edge and Finn would make sense, or Damian Priest, but I guess Finn because he took over his group there. But I kind of just expected it to be the Fiend. I didn't expect they'd do weirdo vignettes. Like, I thought Edge would come back, babyface Edge with the Mysterios to help the Mysterios battle these guys or something, you know? Nice Edge babyface run. Not a weirdo, creepy magic character. I thought him leaving that group would end the creepy Edge character. I don't want him to come back as some sort of, creature of the night or whatever. Come on.
I think he cut his hair for a reason, so I think it's just to help add on to this new character. It took a twist, though. That's it. Not on Judgment Day anymore.
I hate it.
I'm not going to disagree. I don't think it's a good idea, but it's happening. I guess they need more faces because of Cody being out, so it makes sense.
Edge is supposed to be a babyface with this gimmick?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's crazy. That's crazy. What?
Well, Lacey Evans was supposed to be a face. That didn't work out too well, so,
Well, I don't think she was ever supposed to be a babyface. I think they switched that, and it was always the plan to switch that. We'll talk about that. I don't know. Liv as champion, though. How long do you give her? Does she beat Ronda at SummerSlam? She's got to lose at SummerSlam,
I'd have her lose
right?
at SummerSlam.
Yeah, for sure.
I would, but I know a lot of people don't want that.
What?
But I just don't see her as a strong champion.
Well,
a lot of people think Liv is like the next big thing.
How? What? Charlotte is still around. She's going to come back. Becky's still around. Asuka's there. They got freaking Ronda Rousey. And people want Liv Morgan as a champion? They've got Bianca Belair. You would hope Rhea Ripley would come back at some point and be all right. Liv Morgan, people want? I'm telling you, there's something happening here with Liv Morgan and a lot of lonely men on the internet that think maybe they got a shot. I got news for you, nerds. You don't have a shot. Fucking nerds. I really think that's what it is. There's a lot of nerds out there that see her as, like, attainable for some reason. She is not. She's way out of your league. Get over it. Like, what the fuck? Well, Liv Morgan, Liv Morgan beating Ronda Rousey. Could you fucking imagine? Even her beating Ronda Rousey with Ronda on one bad leg after having a match with Natalya was like a stretch with Money in the Bank.
Technically, Ronda's shoulder was up, but we don't go back to that one. We go back on Usos and Street Profits, but the Ronda shoulder being up, who cares?
Well, what is this thing with Money in the Bank where all of a sudden you have Money in the Bank, you cash in, and your opponent who you cash in on, who's usually a great wrestler, just turns into an utter jabroni as soon as you cash in that briefcase? I could see Ronda having a match with Natty, Liv Morgan coming out, cashing in, and Ronda being like, I'm going to put you in an armbar. Get the fuck out of here. Well, what are you doing here? But that's not what happened. But then a match, one-on-one, even if Ronda's got a bum knee, she should win. Because it's just not believable that Liv Morgan beat Ronda Rousey. Charlotte Flair, fine. Charlotte Flair is the greatest women's wrestler of all time. And Becky Lynch is right up there, too. So let's not try and pretend that Liv Morgan is on the same level. And if you think she's on the same level, well, you're wrong. You're very wrong.
I think people just want to see something different. That's why, because it's been the Charlotte, Becky, and somewhat Ronda show for a while now. So people want some change, and I can understand that where you want someone different, but it doesn't mean that they're just as good. It's kind of like you're settling for less in this case, I find. So they got to change it up. I mean, I would like to see Bayley come back. That would change things up a little bit.
Charlotte,
that'd be the best thing to happen.
Where's the Queen? We need her too.
We've done Charlotte many times, though. Charlotte, it's okay. Actually, the longer Charlotte's gone, the better it is.
Yeah, but
the fresher she'll be.
She can always be champion, as far as I'm concerned. You can give her the belt forever.
You don't have to rush it. I say Bayley's been gone long enough. It's time to put Bayley back in there.
Yeah, I agree. I know a lot of people like Liv Morgan for some reason, but I don't get it. And all that shit, like, I did this for us. This is for you and me, the fans. And I'm like, well, I don't give a shit about you, Liv Morgan. Get the fuck out of here. Remember when Brie Bella kicked you in the face? That was hilarious.
She's trying to be a baby face. I mean,
I know, but it's over the top, man. And there was something she said on, what's that show, The Bump? Did you see that? Where Liv Morgan's like, oh, what's the difference between you and Charlotte or Ronda being champion? And Liv's like, well, people actually want me to be champion. And it was like, It was very cocky. It was very arrogant. It was very much like, oh, people actually like me and they don't like. And I think there is some of that because I notice a lot of people that work for WWE and that know Liv Morgan were tweeting out how happy they were that Liv had won. And I think Liv is somebody that's very popular backstage, you know? But I don't give a shit. I'm not backstage. What do I fucking care about how popular she is backstage? Oh, Liv Morgan's nice and she tries real hard. Charlotte Flair's mean to everybody. She doesn't talk to anybody. So what? All I see is what's on TV. And what I see on TV is an A-plus level talent and then a B-plus fucking player. Charlotte Flair is the A-plus level talent, by the way. I don't give a shit if she's nice backstage. I don't care. It means nothing to me. I want to see greatness on my fucking TV in the wrestling ring. What are we trying to do here? Be nice and, like, all have friends and, like, just promote people that deserve it? Or give the best possible fucking talent a shot at giving us the best possible fucking matches? What about that? Like, not saying Liv Morgan is terrible, and she was terrible, and now she's serviceable. She's pretty good, you know? She's all right. But she's not on the top tier. You know, she's in the Carmella world. The only reason people want Liv to do well, not Carmella, is Carmella's a heel and they don't like her. And people are marks.
Well, we've also lived through the Carmella reign. She's been there, done that. Now, you know, you're giving Liv a shot here, see what she can do. So I think people would like to see it last a bit longer than a couple of weeks. I can understand that.
But, I mean, how do you have her beat Ronda? It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough spot, but, you know, I think they just might do it.
Well, that would be a huge mistake. But, hey, they make huge mistakes all the time. Vince has made several huge mistakes. That's why he's minus $12 million in his bank account over the past 16 years because of big mistakes that he's made with women.
Money-wise, he'll be okay.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He's a billionaire. What does he care? Vince, all Vince wants to do is titillate the juices of his guilty pleasures, you know. That's Vince's motto for life. I titillate the juices of my guilty pleasures, pal. That's what Max Dupree should say. It's what I do on a daily basis. Titillate the juices of your guilty pleasures. It's one of my affirmations. I say it to myself in the mirror every day. Titillate the juices of your guilty pleasures. Titillate the juices of your guilty pleasures. That's right, pal. You're going to do it today. You're going to titillate the juices of your guilty pleasures. Every day he does that in the mirror. And that's why we're seeing it on TV. Because he's a weird old fuck that needs to go. Sorry, Vince. I love you. I feel so bad saying it because I really do love Vince, you know. But it's over. Ronda beat Natty tonight. Makes her tap out to the ankle lock. Ronda wrestling on TV is always good. Ronda said that challenging for the title, Liv Morgan, is a whole lot easier than defending it. So it seems like it'll be Ronda versus Liv at SummerSlam, but they didn't quite make it official. So we'll see about that. The Usos beat Los Lotharios with a pinfall after a 1D, not a 3D. And then the Usos were interviewed by Kayla in the ring. Kayla saying that the Usos cheated at Money in the Bank because Montez's shoulder was up when they got the pin. They didn't cheat. The referee just sucks. You know, it's not their fault. Kayla's like, you guys cheated to win. It's like, well, we didn't cheat. We just covered the guy. The ref counted 3, and we were told we won. Well, what would you do? You know, I mean, what? Anyways, Kayla says, well, there's a rumor that you're going to have a rematch with the Street Profits at SummerSlam, and there's going to be a special guest referee. And the Usos are like, oh, we have a good idea who that might be, but they didn't say who it's going to be. Rikishi?
They just did the hand thing.
Oh, Roman Reigns. At SummerSlam, but isn't he busy? Doesn't he have a match with Brock Lesnar?
It was weird that they said that.
Paul Heyman, maybe?
I don't get. Maybe, but again, him as a ref though, I don't see that happening.
How about they get their little brother there who's in NXT? Get him to be the referee, and they'd be like, "What the hell? There's another Uso, and he's the referee? It's not right." Whatever his name is.
I don't see it happening.
Why not? They got to bring him up. He makes so much sense in that group. He looks just like them. He looks like a third Uso. It's crazy. He's their brother, and he's not a twin, but man, he looks just like him.
I'm expecting some sort of Hall of Famer, you know? Like, if they can get Brett, that'd be pretty sweet. But, maybe not Brett. Brett doesn't really work in this situation.
He's not doing that.
But someone... No, he's not going to come just for that. But someone, like a Hall of Fame status, they can bring back.
Ric Flair, baby! They put him back in the signature at the beginning. They're not worried about Ric Flair. They took Ric Flair out of their all their promo stuff, all the beginning signature when the Dark Side of the Ring Plane Ride from Hell episode aired with Ric Flair because, you know, Ric Flair cornered that stewardess, the flight attendant. Sorry, I think at the time they were stewardesses, but now you go flight attendant. I don't want to, you know what I mean. I don't want no heat. So what I'm saying is he cornered that lady and he was nude and he seemed like he was doing some bad things, and WWE was like, let's distance ourselves from Ric Flair. And then this week they like put him back in the stuff and they're like, yeah, well, when Vince is doing the shit he's doing, who are we to judge, I guess. So Ric Flair's back in the mix. He's also got his final match coming up at some point. He's going to come back and wrestle again. And there's a lot of rumors as to who that final opponent might be. I have no idea. A lot of rumors going around. That match is coming up, right? At some sort of StarCast event promoted by his son-in-law, Conrad Thompson. You see about that, John? Ric Flair's having a match. Who do you think he's going to wrestle? Hulk Hogan? The Stanger? It could be the Stanger.
Well,
could be Hulk Hogan.
I don't know if it's going to be Hogan. I don't think Hogan can do it. It would have been cool
Styles.
if he would have got AJ would have been cool. I don't think he was going to get any WWE talent. I have a hard time believing that's going to happen. It would have been cool if he would have got Ricky Steamboat. I think that was the original idea, but Ricky declined.
Probably
Sting
smart.
would be fantastic. But I find Sting works now because he's got guys that can help carry him.
Yeah.
Who's going to carry this one, you know? Like, if you're going to do Sting, you got to make that like a multi-man tag.
So, is this whole thing with Jay Lethal, like Jay Lethal was helping Flair, and then Flair didn't book him on the show? Is this whole thing with Jay Lethal a work for the show so that Jay Lethal could be his opponent? Because he could carry Flair. If you're thinking about a younger guy that's available, you know, he'd make sense.
Yeah. I look at the card and it's like Jay Lethal's not booked, but all the other people are booked. Like, it doesn't make sense. So it feels like Jay Lethal has to be involved in that match. If not, he should be pissed because it's ridiculous that he's not on that card. You see all the people that are booked on that card and he's not? It's pretty stupid.
It's weird. I could see him being Flair's last opponent. I could also see them not announcing an opponent because they're still trying to get certain guys on their dream list, you know? But that'll be interesting to see what they do there. Hogan would be funny, but I don't think that's happening. I don't think he can physically, unfortunately. Big Terry.
I mean, it'd be cool if he could get Double A, you know, but I don't think Double A can do that kind of match.
No.
I mean, he can do a couple things here and there, but he can't do the whole thing, you know?
Can Tully?
Again, very limited, I think. You need someone to help carry that match, and I don't think you have the guys for that. Jay would be great. Jay Lethal would be fantastic, I think.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe it could be the great Lacey Evans, who Flair has a strange history with,
Love
right?
Child?
Yeah, maybe it could be the child of Lacey Evans and Ric Flair come back for revenge to attack Ric Flair. Aaliyah and Lacey Evans versus Shayna and Shotzi didn't happen tonight. We're all very disappointed.
Oh, I know you're very disappointed. Your favorite wrestler didn't wrestle.
Who, Aaliyah? Or Shotzi?
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, I thought Aaliyah's your favorite wrestler, but...
Yeah, she's so bad. So Lacey came out, and she was mad because the fans didn't give her a big enough ovation. So she did her entrance 3 times. Yeah, she wanted them to stand. And she did it 3 times, and then she cut a heel promo on the fans and says that they should stand up and show respect for me. And, I poured my heart out, and I went through all these things, and I think you're just jealous because you couldn't go through the things that I went through and be half the woman that I am, and I'm an American hero, and you've all been eating too much brisket and barbecue over here in Texas, and that's why you can't even stand up and give me a standing ovation because you're disgusting to look at, and you're disgusting people, and I won't be wrestling until I get more respect. And then she goes to leave, and Aaliyah's like, whoa, 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 we're supposed to have a match. And then Lacey Evans punches her in the face with the woman's right and knocks her out. And I thought it was good, man. I thought Lacey did well here. She delivered a solid promo. It was mean. And I bought it. I like it. I like it. I like when wrestlers cut promos on the fans. Like when they're like, you're disgusting, you're gross. I like that. It's funny to me. Because I believe it. I believe it every time. They're these jacked, beautiful wrestlers, and they're seeing these fans, and they're like disgusted. It makes sense, It's not like an unbelievable premise, In shape person, looking good, making fun of ugly, out of shape people in the crowd. It's like, yeah, I believe that. I could see that happening in real life. Because it does happen all the time. And Lacey Evans is doing it. And I thought it was good. And I think that this makes sense. I think that this was always the plan. If you remember, they tried this a while ago.
Sort of.
Right? Lacey came out, and before Lacey came out, the ring announcer was like, Lacey wants you to show proper respect and stand up and give her a standing ovation when she comes out. And the fans were like, huh? And they gave her a standing ovation because she'd been cutting these really heart-wrenching promos about how hard her life had been. And then the first time she comes out in front of the fans, the ring announcer's like, show respect to Lacey Evans. And the fans are like, yeah, that sounds about right. She comes out, and they were kind of like cheering, but not all the way because they couldn't quite understand what they were supposed to do because it seemed like they were supposed to boo her, but they thought, there's no way we're supposed to boo this poor lady that's been through all these hardships, so we will cheer her, despite what we may think we're supposed to do. It was really awkward. And then they decided, let's just make her a babyface. And then tonight, I think they finally figured out like how to do it. Maybe Lacey will come out, and she'll not be happy with her pop. And it's like they wanted her to be a heel like this the whole time, but they couldn't quite figure out how to do it, and they finally figured it out for tonight's show. So I thought it worked. I just think that they had trouble getting there. Had a lot of trouble getting there, figuring out how to do it. But I think Lacey Evans is fantastic. She looks great. She's big. She's muscular. She's athletic. She's good in the ring. Like, she's got a lot of skills. She's believable. She's bigger than most of the girls there, which I like. She's got size. Like, she's got a real presence. And she can cut a hell of a promo. She's a really good heel. And not many people in WWE can do that.
Right.
So she's got a lot of abilities and a lot of things going for her that most of the wrestlers in that company do not have. And her whole backstory is real, too. So, I don't know what else you want, but Lacey Evans, to me, is a hero. Look at her. She looks like a goddamn hero. So, good for her. I liked what she did. I really like that she punched Aaliyah in the face. I look forward to her doing that again in the near future.
Well, I think, too, you look at the landscape of SmackDown, they kind of realized that, too, there's a lack of heels on the show, so they kind of needed Lacey to be a heel. So it just makes more sense when you have a face champion, potentially in Liv or Ronda.
Yeah.
It's better for Lacey to go after face champions. So it just makes more sense. And again, like the alignment, it just felt like there wasn't enough heels on the show to begin with. So makes sense. And it's about time they did it. She's just more natural as a heel. Felt like whenever since she debuted, she was better suited as a heel. It's never really worked for her as a face. I think people just automatically want to boo her because she's either too pretty or like her attitude upsets people too much. So it makes sense. She just fits as a heel. Some people are just born for that character to be heels, you know?
It's something that she does really well, and she commits to it. You know, even as the sassy Southern Belle. Remember that thing she did with the cops? I think it was somewhere in Canada where she was like calling them nasties and telling them, "How could you give me a ticket? I'm like, don't you know who I am?" and that type of thing. And people believe that it was real, but she just got the cops to play along because she's, you know, a nice lady who talked to the cops and got them to play along. They probably knew who she was, you know, and they decided to be part of her little bit on Twitter, and it got people talking, and it worked. People bought into it. That's when I knew. I was like, oh, she's operating at a higher level than most of these wrestlers are. She actually cares and commits to the gimmick. I appreciate that. So many of them drop the gimmick as soon as they leave the arena. You know? They are not that person anymore.
And it won't be hard for her now. I mean, she pretty much just is who she is now, so it's going to work even better, I think.
Yeah. She's exactly who she is, and she's a heel. I think she's fantastic. She's dropped the sassy Southern Belle gimmick, and now she's just Lacey, the badass, former Marine, heel wrestler. And I like it. I'm a big fan of Lacey Evans, and I look forward to seeing what she does here. Elsewhere, we've got some matches official for SummerSlam. Theory versus Lashley for the U.S. title in a rematch. Lashley, the new U.S. champion, after beating Theory at Money in the Bank. Of course, Theory did win the Money in the Bank briefcase that he says he's going to cash in on either Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns after the last man standing. Baron Corbin's going to wrestle Pat McAfee. Usos versus Street Profits for the undisputed tag titles with a special referee. And, yeah, that's pretty much everything going on in the WWE world. Miz versus Logan Paul, too, seems like a match we're going to have, right? Although Miz still seems determined to team with Logan Paul and become tag team champions, but seems to be willing to fight him if he has to. I'm not sure. Do we see a tag match, maybe? Do we see a tag match? AJ Styles wrestled The Miz this week, beat him, but then Ciampa attacked AJ, and Ciampa and Miz seem to have some sort of team going on. Could we see Ciampa and Miz versus Logan Paul and AJ Styles at SummerSlam? I think that would be a much better match. Logan Paul versus Miz one-on-one. Who's carrying that? Who's carrying who there? You know, Miz having to carry Logan Paul, I think, is kind of tough. AJ Styles, Ciampa, throw those guys into the match. All of a sudden, the level of wrestling ability goes way up. Way up.
I agree, but I worry because I know they're big on the whole one-on-one match. And on the marquee, maybe it sells better Logan Paul in his own singles match. But I agree. I think a tag match would be much better. You know, any excuse to have AJ Styles on the show just makes your show better, period. So that's what should happen, but wait and see. I'm hoping for the tag, though.
Yeah, I think the tag makes way more sense. Ciampa as the Miz's Goon, though, is sad. It just makes me sad when I see it.
Whatever. It's a role for him, you know. At least he's there. At least he's being used.
Has he had a one-on-one match with AJ Styles? I think he has, right? But it was real short.
Yeah. He already wrestled him, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What'd you think of the 4th of July party on Raw and the hot dog eating contest? That was
wasn't really exciting whatsoever, but yeah, that's what they do. They've done this before in the past, and whatever, you know, stupid hot dog eating contest because that's the big thing. So
it was the 4th of July. Yeah. Otis was in the hot dog eating contest and wound up losing a match with Gable and Theory. Lashley and the Street Profits won that match. Bobby hit a spear on Gable for the win. Otis was selling all the hot dogs that he ate earlier and puked after the match, and they kept showing replays of the puking. It was not great. Clearly, Vince McMahon's still in charge of the creative with all the replays of the puke, pal. He's gonna puke. The highlight to me in all of WWE this week was Ron Truth dressed as Uncle Sam. That, to me, was the best thing I saw at all of WWE this week. Yeah. I mean, Becky and Asuka was pretty good, too. But I thought R-Truth there, dressed as Uncle Sam, and he says, we're here to remember, just like, it's 4th of July, I love Independence Day. We remember the movie Independence Day that taught us so many lessons. We're here to remember all those that gave their lives. And then the fans start chanting, are we talking about the military here? And he's like, yeah, give it up, give it up. And then he's like, to defend us from Earth in the 1996 alien invasion, Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, and of course, Vivica A. Fox. And he kind of gives a face and the eyes for Vivica. That was my favorite thing. Because it was funny. Because it was R-Truth getting confused about American Independence Day and the 4th of July and thinking that it's all about the movie Independence Day. Any jokes about the movie Independence Day work for me, especially when R-Truth is delivering the promo, because R-Truth is hilarious. So, yeah, that was the best thing on all WWE this week. Ron Truth dressed as Uncle Sam making Independence Day jokes. It was a great movie. If you weren't around back then, man, back in 96, everything was lovely back then. And Independence Day was a big movie. It was a big deal when it came in. Unfortunately, the Nazi Boys came out, and then Gunther beat R-Truth in a squash. You've heard of the Nasty Boys. Gunther and his crew, they're the Nazi Boys.
Well, that's never going to make WWE television, but that's a nice little tag name you gave them.
Well, it's on Wrestling Uncensored, baby. All right? I can say whatever I want here. It's uncensored. And, they kind of present as Nazi-ish. I just, when they came out, I was like, hey, it's the Nazi Boys. They got a bad reputation, When you see the boys coming, better change your direction. They're the Nazi Boys. They're the Nazi Boys. And they'll rearrange your face. They're the boys. They're the Nazi Boys.
It's interesting. I don't know if you noticed when the commentator or the announcer, Megan, she mentioned the Brutes. It sounded like she got censored. I don't know if you caught that or not.
I think her mic chopped out.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. It was like, can you not say certain words? It's weird. Yeah, I guess her mic probably died out or something. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they were just having some technical difficulties. So that you didn't like that R-Truth promo this week? That was fantastic. Come on.
No, I thought it was silly and stupid. But, that's R-Truth. He does his things, I guess you laugh along with it, but I'm more just
I do.
Oh, when is this over?
I like R-Truth a lot. Best promo of the week was probably on AEW Dynamite, Christian and Matt Hardy. Fantastic.
Well, Christian every week now, I think. I think it's a fair thing to say. Christian every week is the best thing to watch.
Yeah, this new Christian heel persona here, cutting promos on Jungle Boy, it's been very good, and they've managed to keep it interesting every week. Matt Hardy came out, said he was friends with Jungle Boy, and Christian shouldn't have turned his back on him, and Christian says, hey, Matt, you're starting to make your brother look like the sober one, which was just whoa, because Jeff's, in rehab. Yeah. After another drunk driving incident. So that was bad. And, Matt says Christian is using his guys to make big money, just like he did with Private Party, Butcher, and The Blaze. Matt Hardy has forgotten the guys' names. You see him call them The Blaze, Butcher, and The Blaze?
Oh, yeah. I heard that, yeah.
Matt says he regrets, trying to make money off the young guys like he did, and his life has been a mess the last few months, and maybe it's karma for him, and he deserves it. And Matt actually cut a really good promo on this week's Being the Elite. That's worth checking out. about Jeff Hardy and about all that stuff. And Christian says, Matt, you're not out here to help. You're here to serve your massive ego because everybody's talking about me and you want to get the rub. And Christian says, Matt, you are so selfish. You're such a hypocrite telling me that I'm using these guys. You will turn a blind eye to your brother and his issues to ride his coattails for one last run. Which was like, another stiff shot. You know?
Yep.
And then Matt tried to attack him, but Luchasaurus beat up Matt Hardy. Excellent segment. That was my favorite segment of the week in all pro wrestling. Great stuff. Matt and Christian have known each other for a long time. Jeff, too. I think it's all fine. You know? I don't think Jeff or Matt are offended. I think Christian is probably cool enough with both guys that he either got that cleared beforehand or at least talked to Matt about it beforehand. I don't know. But knowing the history between Christian and the Hardy Boys, I'm not too worried that Christian offended anybody there. They're just doing good business. And they're setting something up with Matt. And perhaps Christian and Luchasaurus against Matt and Jeff when Jeff comes back. And that's the other thing. Jeff will come back. So all these things that Christian has said about them, about Jeff, about Matt, I think he will wind up paying for it at some point down the road. Because Jungle Boy's going to need some friends too, right? Jungle Boy's up against Christian and Luchasaurus. He's going to need some buddies to help him out. The Hardys make sense. Matt Hardy makes sense too right now, as long as Jeff is in rehab. Right? Good promo, though. Great stuff.
Well, it just seems like they're just piling on the heat for Christian right now. Pretty much, if there's something controversial, like they want him to tackle it because they realize he can make it very entertaining. Even though it can be very controversial what he could be saying, he can make it very interesting. Doesn't matter if it's someone's parents or someone having a drug issue. He seems to make it always interesting to watch. So right now, Christian is the guy to watch right now, no matter what.
He is. He's a lot of fun to watch. I'm loving this new Christian that we're seeing in AEW. This heel version, he's doing great. Luchasaurus looks good next to him. It's a good group. Hager and Claudio Castagnoli, they're going to wrestle each other. Yeah, I know.
I'm pretty sure commentating does the same thing.
Have they mentioned that they used to be a tag team, We the People?
Did they mention it? I'm not sure if they mentioned it this week or not.
They were a tag team for a while, those two.
Right. And I think by them having that stare down, we're supposed to know that, I guess. It's supposed to mean something, but they'll probably mention it, I'm sure, next week when they're wrestling.
Hager says Claudio was never a world champion in Ring of Honor or WWE, and he won't be here in AEW. I don't think he should have said that. Hey, you're a new guy, you're undefeated in this company, but you were never really much anywhere else. We may make you a top star here, but, you actually aren't that good. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, Hager was a world champion.
I know. But who is he in AEW? You know what I mean? He's not world champion in AEW, and he never will be.
Oh, but to be a world champion in WWE, that's still a great accomplishment.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I thought it made Claudio look less than, but I think he'll beat Hager, so all that'll be erased, right? Hager and Claudio will wrestle on Dynamite Wednesday, and I'm fully expecting Claudio to win. Keith Lee and Swerve beat the Butcher and the Blaze. And then Will Hobbs and Ricky Starks came out. Ricky was really going wild on the mic there. I love the passion from Ricky Starks. He's fantastic. I love that guy.
It was good, but we just get the same match that we've been getting for a while now. Just another three-way tag. Just new tag champs.
Right. But the Bucks haven't been involved with these guys.
Right, but I mean, we did this with Jurassic Express. Not the last paper, but the paper before that, Double or Nothing. I think it was that match.
It was Lee and Swerve versus Hobbs and Starks versus the Jurassics. But now it's the Young Bucks, John. One of the greatest tag teams of all time. Makes the match way better. Way better. Because the Bucks are in it, it's like, oh, okay, it's the Bucks. That match will be on Dynamite this week. Triple threat tag team match for the tag team titles. Bucks are like, yeah, you guys are good, but it's our promotion, and we started this whole thing, so we're the best. I was like, I don't know how that is a correlation, but I'm with you. I agree.
I like the FTR chanting. That's good. I mean,
Yep.
more than likely we're going down that road, but we're not there yet.
Probably at the pay-per-view in September.
Right.
Eddie Kingston was doing a promo talking about blood and guts. He wants more blood from Chris Jericho. Jericho's in the parking lot on the big screen. Ty Conti has Ruby Soho, and she slams Soho's arm in a car door. And Jericho tells Kingston to watch himself or it's going to happen to him. I don't know what the association with Ruby Soho is to Eddie Kingston, but apparently we're supposed to know that they're friends, I guess.
Well, Ruby did help them win the Blood and Guts match.
Oh, right. Okay. So they're friends.
Yeah.
So Eddie Kingston and Jericho are still feuding? How long has this been going on?
Well, I think we had the blow-off match, right? They said Fyter Fest that night too, right? We're going to get the death match.
Right, death match. Yeah, we did see a commercial for that, the little promo thing. All right, whatever. Is there going to be exploding shit death match or just death match?
Didn't you say a barbed wire death match?
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
No, I think you're right. The Dark Order did a promo with -1 in the ring. And Evil Uno thanks the Rochester fans for supporting them, kind of like a hometown thing, because that's where Brody was from. Uno says that the 6 of them are here to stay. So it was John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, 10, Anna Jay, and -1. So they are the 6 members of the Dark Order, and they are staying. The Dark Order has lost some members recently. Evil Uno's longtime tag team partner, Stu Grayson, didn't have his contract renewed. He left the company. And Alan 5 Angels as well, no longer with the company. 5 is gone. He, I think, already made his Impact Wrestling debut. Didn't take long. So they've lost some members. Colt Cabana, too. Where's Colt?
Apparently, I guess they're going to use him just in Ring of Honor, is what the rumor is.
Well, they've
might
lost
be better for him,
a lot. You know, the Dark Order's lost a lot. It might be better for him in Ring of Honor because it wasn't going anywhere for AEW with Colt, but
right.
He's got a lot of history in Ring of Honor. But anyways, QT Marshall showed up and says, how long are we going to have to put up with this kid? And QT wants to fight -1, and -1 says you're going to have to wait till I'm 18. Hangman Page shows up, and him and Uno attack QT, and the Dark Order beats up QT, and that was the segment. It was all right. I guess we're setting up -1 and QT in 7 to 8 years or something.
Well, it's just to give them a moment. I'm surprised that this aired on Dynamite. I thought this would be something you'd put on like Dark or Dark Elevation or something, but it was nice to give them a moment, though, and to kind of show that, yes, the Dark Order, they've lost members, but they're not going away, though. So I think that was nice that they gave them that, though. They gave them a moment they haven't been doing much of, so as a Dark Order fan, you must be happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's good in a way that they exist, and, you know, Johnny Hungy still exists, that he's still a thing. I love me some Johnny Hungy. But, you know, he barely spoke. I feel like -1, -1 got more mic time than Johnny Hungy. And that seems a little backwards. It's not right. Whatever.
I like the kid. What can you say? He's the
son.
No,
I mean, it's fine. I get it, and it's his moment and all. But, man, Johnny Hungy doesn't get that much on AEW TV. I think he should get a little bit more. Roosh beats Penta Oscuro after some interference from Andrade. That match was pretty good. I like Roosh. He's a good addition to AEW.
That match was all right. You know, I was expecting a tag match, but singles is fine.
I thought the tag match was match of the night. Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm over Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose. Hard-hitting match, solid stuff. Everybody involved was good. I feel like Nyla Rose had a really impressive showing, too. Marina looks like a badass. Thunder Rosa was in there. Toni Storm, they're all looking good. Great match. I really like this match. That was my match of the night for Dynamite. Thunder and Toni beating Marina and Nyla.
It was good. It's just I wonder about the point of this. Like you're making a team now of Thunderstorm. It sounds great, but where does this lead to? I mean, you don't have tag titles, so how far can you really go with this?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, maybe bring in some tag titles. I know they brought in a bunch of new titles already, but that's what they kind of need. That's the number one title they need of anything is women tag titles.
Thunderstorm. That's why Nyla and Marina came out with umbrellas.
Right.
I was like, are they doing a Marty Scurll gimmick? Isn't that Serena Deeb's boyfriend? I was confused.
I didn't realize Serena was dating him, but okay, well.
I gave you a lot of information there. Yeah, it blew your mind a little bit there. You didn't know that?
Didn't realize that.
Yeah, Marty Scurll, who's been blackballed from pro wrestling for some alleged former... I'm not sure exactly what he did. I think it might have been something with a minor at the time, or I'm not sure what... I don't want to say. But there was some sort of improper thing when the whole speaking out thing came out in pro wrestling, and a lot of wrestlers were getting exposed and kicked out of the business permanently, like Joey Ryan. Marty Scurll was one of those guys, and I forget exactly what he did. But apparently he did something that was backed up enough that he, found himself out of a job. He was one of the big guys in Ring of Honor. I think he was booking, too. He was, like, in charge in a way, right? He was, like, management and a wrestler. Like, he was doing a lot in Ring of Honor, and then it all stopped. But, yeah, I think him and Serena Deeb are a couple. So, there's that. And, of course, Scurll was, like, part of the Elite. So I wonder,
right?
What his relationship is with the Bucks, and maybe that's why Serena has had a job for so long, because they know her from Scurll. I don't know. But Serena's obviously very good. I don't think it's just because of Marty Scurll. But I was, like, confused there when they came out with the umbrellas, because I remember Marty Scurll, the villain, used to have an umbrella, and that was part of his gimmick. So I didn't understand why Marina and Nyla came out with the umbrellas, because I had the show on mute because I was with my daughter trying to make her sleep. So I wasn't actually listening to the show, but I was watching it at the time during that match. 3 months old today, my daughter. 3 months.
It goes quick, huh?
I know. I know somebody else that's celebrating a birthday this weekend. Big Johnny!
That's true. Yeah.
Did you forget?
Well, I didn't forget. Like I can remember that at least.
Yeah. This Sunday, Big Johnny.
That's very true as well. Yeah.
What, did you forget that?
Sunday, yeah.
Are you? I see. I'm giving you new information.
No, I knew that. I just don't pay attention to it so much.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm aware that this Sunday is Big Johnny's birthday, and we are all getting him a picture, a big, huge poster of the Ass Boys, because Johnny loves the Ass Boys, right? That's what you wanted.
I don't think you're getting me that, but I mean, I guess you're going to talk about that.
The Ass Boys and the Acclaimed beat the Bears, Fuego, and another guy. And then the Acclaimed and the Ass Boys argued after the match, and they kind of fought each other. And Billy Gunn last week seemed to side with the Acclaimed, but this week he decided to side with his sons, and seems like Billy and the Ass Boys will be feuding with the Acclaimed, and the Acclaimed will turn babyface, I guess.
Well, it makes sense. I think people like the Acclaimed a lot, so this was just the reason to finally turn them face fully.
I do like them.
Just makes sense.
Yep. And main event of Dynamite was Jon Moxley defending the AEW title against Brody King, getting him to tap with a bulldog choke. It's hard for me to care about Jon Moxley, Brody King for the interim AEW title. The match was fine. It was all right, but I just... Didn't give a shit.
Well, I just felt it was a regular kind of match, After everything what you've seen, then you see that it didn't feel like a main event to me. But they had built that match a little bit. I think maybe they probably rushed that too much. Maybe give Brody King a couple of weeks of he's the number one contender. But just rush him into it. It's like, well, of course he's going to lose.
Yeah, he won a Battle Royal last week, and this week he's wrestling Moxley, and it's like, all right. We know what's happening here. We get it. And that is, I think, everything that's happening in pro wrestling these days. SummerSlam coming up in 3 weeks. Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor, I guess, is coming up before that. It'll be on July 23rd, which is that on a Sunday or Saturday? Oh, it's a Saturday, too.
Saturday.
All these Saturday wrestling pay-per-views. Don't they understand it's supposed to be Sunday?
Anyways. I think WWE only has Saturday pay-per-views the rest of the way for this year.
That's bullshit. It's ridiculous. And they can't all be up. They can't all be up against UFC pay-per-views. Because I'll tell you, that Money in the Bank was like, it was happening, and I was watching it, but I was also watching the UFC prelims. And once that UFC pay-per-view started, forget about Money in the Bank. Like, the men's Money in the Bank match was happening while Robbie Lawler and Brian Barberina were beating the shit out of each other. You know?
Okay.
It's hard for me to not to watch the Money in the Bank ladder match. Because that fight was awesome. And as soon as Austin Theory was announced as a surprise participant, I knew he was going to win. So I really didn't care. The UFC pay-per-views, opposite WWE pay-per-views, always seem more important. Those WWE pay-per-views mean nothing when a UFC pay-per-view is going on. Nothing. That Money in the Bank pay-per-view was garbage. That UFC pay-per-view wasn't great for a UFC pay-per-view, but it was still a way more enjoyable experience than Money in the Bank. And I am a fan of both. I love wrestling. I love MMA. But the UFC pay-per-views are killing the pro wrestling pay-per-views these days. Those UFC pay-per-views are top-notch. Even Vince McMahon himself goes to these shows now. You never see Vince in the audience for anything. He was at that pay-per-view, pal. Triple H was there. Stephanie was there. Nick Khan was there. Pat McAfee was there with them. And apparently Tony Khan and Jim Ross were in the building too, just somewhere else.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But get ready for this. I think we might see more WWE premium live events when there's UFC pay-per-views, because apparently they don't really seem to care if UFC is going on. They're like, well, it doesn't really affect us. People will still buy our stuff.
Well, the one in Wales is on September 3rd or September 4th, I think, our time.
4th is going to be All Out.
Really? At the same time?
Yeah.
Well, no, not at the same time, because this one's going to be on in, like, the afternoon, right? For us?
Right. But, I mean, 2 different days, too. I mean, the Clash at the Castle will be on the Saturday, and All Out will be on the Sunday. It'll be a big weekend of just wrestling shows.
Well, we'll see. When's UFC 278? Is that September 3rd, too?
I wouldn't be surprised. But, I mean, it'll be an afternoon show, though, with the Clash, so it's okay.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. 278 is in August. 279 is September 10th, so we're good there.
There you go.
But, yeah, I don't like WWE pay-per-views opposite UFC pay-per-views. I think that's dumb. October 8th is Extreme Rules, and that's on a Saturday.
Right.
Uh-oh.
I wouldn't be surprised Survivor Series might clash.
I don't know. They haven't announced the UFC schedule that far in advance yet. We don't know. I think we have UFC 279 booked. Well, as an event, but I don't think there's a... Oh, shit. They don't know where it's going to be, but they do know that it's going to be on October 8th.
There you go.
So WWE's Extreme Rules and UFC 280 will be on at the same time. October the 8th. Crazy.
Yeah, I know AJ is upset by this, but they don't see it as the same viewership, and they actually believe that if people want to see both, they'll just watch it later, so it's fine. They don't seem to mind by this. And I think their main thing is their young audience, which would rather on a Saturday, so they don't have to worry about getting up early on Monday. So I get it. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think a lot of people
Well, for
forget
you,
that these events are even happening on a Saturday. They seem less important because they're sharing the day with all sorts of other stuff. When it's Sunday night, it's like it's WWE's night. Everybody's watching WWE. When it's a Saturday, it's like, yeah, there's other shit going on. It's not working.
well, till the end of the year, this is the way it's going to be. So, like maybe next year they'll change it up and they'll realize it. I mean,
Yeah.
but until then, I don't know. It seems like they're pretty set on the Saturday premium live events.
Well, I think it's a terrible plan. And, yeah, that's where my viewership is. I'm definitely way more interested in the UFC. Johnny, my Yankees beat your Red Sox again tonight. Again. Another easy win. It's 12-5
Red Sox
final.
won the latest World Series, so it's all right.
Yeah, well, they're not winning this year, I'll tell you that much. Not looking good.
Oh, they can still get the wild card.
No,
They can definitely get the wild card. Who talking
They're
about?
trash. They're trash. They're the worst. Pure garbage. Where are they even in the
I think
standings?
the Orioles are the worst. if I'm
How many
mistaken.
games back are they from the Yankees? Oh, 16!
Yeah, but you can still get the wild card. You know,
Yeah.
there's like more wild card spots now. So
Yeah, I know. It feels nice to see the Red Sox and the Blue Jays both 16 games back. The Tampa Rays are in second place in the AL East. They are 15 and a half games back. That's how far ahead the Yankees are. They have the biggest lead of any first place team in baseball. The second biggest
the
lead.
Astros
Astros have
the
the
Astros,
second biggest lead. They
Yeah.
got 13 games on the second place Mariners. But the Yankees have a better record overall. They're 61-23 after tonight. Unbelievable. What a team. What a fucking team. And that's it for me. I'll be back here Thursday? I get a break. Wow,
Yeah,
pretty good.
Get a weekend off finally.
Yeah, I was so busy over the past few weeks, and now I get a little bit of a break ski on this weekend, and I'll be back Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, to preview UFC on ABC, Ortega versus Rodriguez. Ooh, baby. Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez? Is that still the fight? Holy shit. Is that really the main event next week? Damn. See what I'm saying? UFC on a fight night is going to throw out some fights where I'm like, oh, shit. And then WWE on their big pay-per-views, I'm like, yeah. What else you got? That's the problem. Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, UFC on ABC coming up in a couple of weeks, or a week from tomorrow. Oh, Shane Burgos versus Charles Jourdain is on that card. Charles Jourdain is going to fight on ABC. Fucking let's go. Yeah. Charles Jourdain from Montreal. We love Charles. Muslim Salikov against Li Jing Lang. Michelle Watterson against Amanda Lemos. Misha Tate and Lauren Murphy. It's a pretty good fight night card. It's almost a pay-per-view. Ortega versus Yair. They got another Nurmagomedov on the prelims. They got like 3 guys with the last name Nurmagomedov right now in the UFC, and none of them have the first name Khabib. You got Saeed Nurmagomedov, you got Umar Nurmagomedov, and now you got Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov. Abu Bakr. So many Nurmagomedovs in this company. Khabib brought the whole family. Everybody fight, my friend. Everybody. Fucking Khabib. That guy's the best. What a squad he's got. What a family. Don't fuck with the Nurmagomedovs. That's a family you don't want to fuck with. I think the Nurmagomedovs are starting to give the Gracies a run for their money, man. What the hell? Have the Gracies ever had 3 fighters in the UFC at the same time?
They must have at least had 2.
I don't know, man. Yeah, maybe 2, but I don't know if they've ever had 3 people named Gracie in the UFC signed to contracts at the same time. But the UFC currently has 3 Nurmagomedovs, and Khabib isn't even one of them. And you know he could be signed to a contract if he wanted to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn. AJ's in the chat right now. AJ, that's a good one, right? Has the UFC ever had 3 Gracies signed to a contract at the same time? I don't think they have. I think that the Nurmagomedovs have now surpassed the Gracies. I mean, I'm not going to say they surpassed the Gracies because obviously none of this would exist without the Gracies, and we love the Gracies and all. But as far as like a supreme family in the UFC, hard to fuck with the Nurmagomedovs, man. They're definitely the most powerful family in MMA right now. For sure. Forget the Miller brothers, forget the Diaz brothers. It's the Nurmagomedov crew. And, you know, Islam Makhachev is basically family to those guys. He just doesn't have the Nurmagomedov name. But the fact that they got 3 guys, Saeed, Umar, and Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov, all signed, all fighting in the UFC at the same time is unbelievable. What a gene pool. These guys are beasts. I love them.
I feel like there was a lot of Silvas at one point, but they probably weren't all related, though.
No, they weren't all related, you know? UFC had the Nogueira brothers signed at the same time, you know? The Diaz brothers. Yeah. You know, they've had, you know, 2 guys, but not like cousins and this guy and that guy. Like, it's like everybody, oh, is your last name Nurmagomedov? Yeah. Hey, you know how to fight? Yeah. This way, my friend, we will sign you to a contract, you know? And the thing is, they're all really good, too. It's not like, oh, it's your last name, so you're going to get a pass. No. These guys are just really good at fighting, and they kick ass, and they beat everybody, too. It's like Khabib wasn't the only guy who's unstoppable named Nurmagomedov. They're all like that. Khabib's not that special, you know? They're all like that. Oh, my whole family like this. No big deal. Tremendous. I love Khabib. I love that family. They're so cool. It's like, man, imagine. Good for Khabib. Good for Khabib. And there's UFC tomorrow, too. There's a Nurmagomedov fighting tomorrow. There's a Nurmagomedov fighting next week, Abu Bakr. And tomorrow, Saeed Nurmagomedov is fighting Douglas Silva de Andrade. Saeed is like a cousin of Khabib. There's one fighting tomorrow. I think it's 3 weeks in a row, right? Because Umar fought last week, didn't he? Didn't Umar fight last? Yeah, he did. Holy shit. No, it was 2 weeks ago. Umar fought 2 weeks ago on the Taruki and Gamrot card. Umar beat Nate Maness, right? Umar fought a couple weeks ago. Umar Nurmagomedov. Tomorrow, Saeed Nurmagomedov is fighting. And then next week, Abu Bakr Nurmagomedov is fighting. Fuck, man.
Wow.
That's crazy shit. That is crazy. Fuck the bloodline, man. They're Nurmagomedovs. That's a real bloodline. That's crazy. Wow. Wow. All right. Uh-oh. Did I just freeze out? John, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but like I think your your face is frozen though.
Yeah, I know. I just froze out. What the hell just happened? All right, well, I'm wrapping up the show. Something's gone wrong. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can bring myself back. No, I think I froze out. Oh, that's not good. Wow. That's not good. Bad.
Well,
let's reset. Hold on. Am I gone now? Can you? Oh, I'm back.
There you go. You're back. You were gone, then you came back.
Oh boy, that was scary. What the hell is that?
Rogers virus came in there and almost killed you.
Goddamn Rogers. I don't think that's what it was. I don't know what that was. We got to watch out for that. That's scary shit. Okay. And, of course, before we go, rest in peace to Tony Sirico, the great actor who played the great character Paulie Gualtieri, also known as Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos. One of the guys that made that show what it was. The Sopranos wouldn't be The Sopranos without Paulie. Provided so much of the comedy to The Sopranos. So much classic scenes, so many classic lines delivered by Paulie. The comedy really is what gets me. You know, just the little speeches that he would go, the speech about washing his hands after he ties his shoes, and Christopher saying, you learn this on TV, and Paulie's like, I gotta watch TV to figure out the world, you know, shit like that. When he's in Italy with Tony, and people are calling him Commendatore, and he's like, Commendatore. I like that. You know, and he's like, Commendatore, buongiorno. And they look at him like, what the fuck? You know, why you, you know, he's trying to be nice to people, you know, and it's not working for him. Or he tells Tony they're going to do business, and Paulie's got to go back to the hotel, and he says, I got to hoof it to the Excelsior. I got to take a wicked shit. Tremendous. Like, just a little line like that Paulie delivered. Only Paulie could deliver it the way he delivered it. Pack up these rolls for my ma. You know, all that stuff that he did, the snap and the point that Paulie could do, that was Tony Sirico. That wasn't Paulie Gualtieri. So much of who Paulie was the real guy, Tony Sirico, who did have an interesting life where he dabbled in some crime, where he was in the military, where he was legitimately a tough guy and half a wise guy. You know, and that's who he brought to the character Paulie Gualtieri, who is a classic TV character. And, you know, Tony Sirico delivered some real acting there, you know, when he was having the cancer, when he was having the trouble with his mother, when he found out that his mother wasn't his mother, that his aunt was his mother, but his aunt was a nun, so she had to give him up. And then, you know, he finds out that the woman that he thought was his mother was his aunt, and he's really upset with his mother, and he says, you're nothing to me, and then he goes back to her, and there's that whole story arc with his mother, and that's that was, you know, some good acting there from Tony Sirico. He was really a talented guy, and he pulled that Paulie character off to perfection. I don't know if there's anybody else that could have done Paulie the way he did. It was perfect. He was the best. Paulie Gualtieri is one of the greatest characters in TV history, and he really, Sopranos is, to me, maybe the best show ever, and Paulie really, what happened again? I just froze out again. What is happening? Hey!
Yeah, you did freeze again. Wow. It's too bad. You gave me such a great speech, too.
Man, Paulie really made that show. I can't believe I froze out again. Why does this keep happening?
Well,
bring me back. I'm coming back, but
go.
I don't know why this keeps happening. That's a weird thing. We got to get that fixed. I was delivering a beautiful, heartfelt speech about Paulie and how great he was, and then I froze out again. This is weird. But, yeah, I'm a huge Sopranos fan. I've seen The Sopranos millions of times, and I love Paulie. So when I saw that Tony Sirico passed away today, I was very sad. And I could just, you know, I could go on and on about great Paulie scenes. You know, when Paulie's at the psychic, and he sees all the dead guys behind Paulie that Paulie's killed. He's like, what are they saying? You really want me to say out loud? And he's like, oh, shit. You know? He's like, Pagano, Charles Pagano. He says he was your first, but I sense there were many more. What the fuck? You know, like, it's the first guy Paulie killed. And yeah, there, he's laughing. He wants to know, the poison ivy, does it still itch? And that's Mikey Paul Meach, right? Because Paulie in like the first season when he goes to kill Mikey Paul Meach, he's like, the poison ivy, it's fucking itching me. And then he shoots Mikey because he's mad really at the poison ivy. I mean, he's there to kill him, but it's the rage of being itchy from the poison ivy that gets him. So great. The confrontation with Silvio, I posted that on Twitter today, where he's mad at Silvio, and Silvio's saying, you know, just trying to tell you how you're being perceived. Paulie says, why don't you worry about how you're fucking perceived? Nobody knows what the future holds, my friend. Tremendous shit. Tremendous. The scene in the bakery with Feech LaManna. fucking tremendous. Tremendous. Like, so many great scenes from Paulie. I could go on and on, but I'm not gonna. But he was the best. If you want, go on YouTube and search the best of Paulie Walnuts, the best of Paulie Gualtieri, and you have some good laughs and some good times because he was a tremendous, tremendous character, and I love him. I love him. All right. Johnny, I love you. It's your birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday, buddy. We all salute you. You did it.
Thanks. Rest in peace, Paulie.
Yes. And thank you to everybody for tuning in here tonight. Thank you to all the members. We appreciate you. If you have not joined, join.ringsidereport.net, join.ringsidereport.net. Like the video and leave a comment. Please leave a comment that helps the algorithm, and then more people watch, and then more people find out about us, and then, I don't know, something might happen, I guess.
I think sharing the video helps a lot, too.
Sharing the video, leaving a comment, watching it over and over again. Whatever you want to do to help us out, we appreciate it. You want to send us some money, you could do that at donate.ringsidereport.net. If you want to join.ringsidereport.net. And check out all our past shows that we've done. If you missed our Money in the Bank UFC 276 watch-along, you could watch that on the channel right now. You could watch other shit that we have. Like I did a show last night with Freddie and AJ, and we gave you winning picks for the UFC this weekend. There's a UFC fight card going down tomorrow night. It is, of course, Rafael Dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev, and that's going down tomorrow. We gave you some good picks, some good parlay picks. I picked every fight correctly at UFC 276. Not all the fights that I picked that I gave you. Every fight on the card I picked correctly. So get ready for more victory this weekend here. Team Dave is crushing it in 2022, and we are going to be crushing it for the rest of the year. Can't wait to make more money with Team Dave tomorrow night for the UFC. And that's it. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. I'll be back here to give you more winning picks Thursday night, 8 p.m., to preview that excellent UFC on ABC card. T-City, Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. Holy shit, that's going to be a good fight. Whew. I love it. I love it. It's the Ringside Report Network. This has been Wrestling Uncensored. We'll see you again real soon.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.